an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering the Hunger Games movies, Catching Fire. In this episode, RoShawn and I will discuss that Catching Fire is a lot better than the Hunger Games first movie. So much better, in my opinion. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say, who murdered 3. Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where a dead man called out for his love to flee? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you?
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
All right.
I agree. This was a much more fun watch. It benefited from having, the first one. Well, the first one was the first one, but there's always that shot, that sort of sticker shot.
Amazing. Yeah.
But, once I got acquainted with what this universe for the films was going to be like, it made it a lot less jarring the second time around. I also found myself, instead of clocking everything that was different from the books, I found myself just being much more immersed in the story that the film was showing, which was a nice change. Even though there's still plenty of variations from the books, they weren't as like, oh my God, I can't believe they cut this, and oh my God, why did you know what I mean? It just flowed a lot better. And I thought that Jennifer Lawrence was much more engaging in this one than she was in the first one. So I enjoyed it, guys. I enjoyed it. It was long, I will say that.
That's the only thing, is they're too long, man.
It's too long. It didn't need to be as long as it was, considering how much that they cut out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It was a good time. It was, not a good time. It's terrible what's happening. It's awful.
A terrible time was had by all. Hurrah! But yeah, no, I definitely agree. And the changes that they made, I felt like at least made it more interesting to watch, and it didn't sort of feel like you had an opportunity for something there. Why did you just not? Yeah. Which is how I felt so often in the other one.
Agreed.
And the overall effect of, and I'm just gonna. So, guys, the second film actually follows the second book so closely that I don't feel like we need to do a blow-by-blow summary of the movie, because we covered the book. We don't have to do that. Yeah. And I feel like it made the episode last time so long for not really a good reason. We didn't have to do all that, but there we were.
Yeah.
So
it's always what weird transitioning to a movie when you're used to doing a blow from the books, and for me, making that switch to, this is a movie, you don't have to do that, especially if it's a movie of a book we've already covered. So this is a good call on your part. I support this.
Yeah, I just feel like I want to talk about some of the major changes and the here and there, the couple of things that you obviously are going to be like, oh, that wasn't in the book. Okay, let's, and one of the foremost things I want to talk about is Plutarch Heaven.
Yay!
Let's discuss the man.
I was going to throw that out as a guess before you said it, but I took too long. I am delighted by your choice here. Yeah, what they did with Plutarch was really interesting, and because in the books we meet him the one time at the party, then we see him, he's the game maker, And then we see him when he gets, sort of revealed, right?
Right.
He's not a heavy presence throughout the book. But here, we get to see, and I guess the movie had to do this thing, right? Because if you've read the books, then you know the twist. But I would imagine there was a lot of people coming to the movies that hadn't read the books. And so you want to try to preserve that shock.
Yes.
Of the reveal, the big reveal at the end when he's on the hovercraft. So what the movie does is they show him orchestrating and conspiring with Snow in a way that you do not get in the book.
Correct.
And it was some of it had me like, Snow, how are you falling for this?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to jump around too much, but when they are plotting and Plutarch is talking about Snow is like, I want her, like, we need to get rid of her now. The games haven't even started yet. And it is basically Plutarch is suggesting this quarter quell with pulling the victors back in, right? And he says something to Snow to the effect of like, we're going to, make them hate her. We're going to make them see that she's one of us. She's not one of them. We're going to have like beatings and starvation and oppression and really put the boots down. And then contrast it with Katniss having this lavish wedding and make her like very othered, right? And Snow comes back and says something like, his line from the first movie, which is like, it's not just fear isn't enough, you got to let them have like a little bit of hope, but not like too much. And Plutarch is just like, no, we're going to give them like both. And I was like, Snow, yeah, are you falling for this? But yes, he fell for it because Plutarch really was selling it. Like, if I hadn't read the books, y'all, I would have been like shocked at the end of the movie. I was shocked at the end of the book, but I will say, instead of having him show her the Mockingbird timepiece that he has, they actually have him have a conversation with Katniss at the party about, what does he say to her? When she's like, why did you come back? And he's like, maybe it was you. Maybe you were the inspiration I needed, or something like that, he says to her.
I honestly don't even remember how that conversation goes. So now I'm trying to find it in the movie.
Oh,
because
yeah. It's in
the
middle.
I do think that it's worth talking about the fact that like he doesn't really tip her off to the arena setup itself. So that in the book, it sort of feels like she recalls that and it's what tips her off, but it doesn't, in the movie, it's much more like she just puts it together, which doesn't matter to me either way. I think that's fine. But, okay, here he is taking her. I love how uncomfortable she looks with him cutting in. She just really does not want to do this.
What's the timestamp on that? I'm so close, but I can't nail it down.
28 minutes and 54 seconds, I think. So this is when he says it's appalling. Still, if you abandon your moral judgment, it can be fun. Are you having fun? She asks him. I'm the head game maker. Fun is my job. And she says, I thought that's what happened to Seneca Crane. Too much fun. And he says Seneca decided to quit breathing. It was that or the poison berries. And I was sort of like, well, wasn't it just the poison berries?
I also had a moment where I was like, I don't understand what you're saying, sir. What? Maybe he just starved to death. Maybe he just stayed in that room and died of not eating.
I don't know.
It's a weird
of
line.
Not eating. He died of not eating.
Y'all are gonna have to forgive me. You're gonna get some real bad turn of phrases this evening.
Guys,
I apologize.
RoShawn earlier had me cackling when she said they're working me like a person, and there's this pause, and then she just said like a person they got working too much, and I just fell out. 'Cause I really thought she was going somewhere. She didn't.
I didn't go anywhere. Nope. There was nowhere to go.
Oh yeah. So he says being head game maker isn't the most secure job. And when she says, "Why are you here?" He says, "Same reason as you. I volunteered."
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Ambition. And the camera sort of switches, and then the chance to make the games mean something. And she says the games don't mean anything. They only mean to scare us. And then, yeah, maybe it was you who inspired me to come back. And he just backs away from her, and the music stops at this point, and the president comes in and welcomes her. And that's the whole end of their conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay.
So it's nice because it plants a little bit of a seed so that when we get the reveal at the end, you're just like, oh,
yeah,
okay. But not enough to be like, a tell. And I think that we never have Katniss revisit that conversation. Like in her mind. And then
one of the drawbacks again of never getting like an internal monologue from her is revisiting things.
Yeah,
can be a little clumsy to do when you set the narrative up to play out like this.
Right. And then I think right after the ball is when we go to Plutarch and Snow having their conversation. It's like a beat or two after this, I think. Like they're she's like looking outside the window at like all the people in the Capitol, and then they go to Snow and Plutarch in the little room watching the uprising.
Right.
And it was weird too. I will admit I had a moment, you guys. I had a real moment where, because of the way that this is shot, it's Katniss getting up out of bed in the middle of the night, and she goes and she's walking, I think they're on the train, or maybe they're in the whatever, and it looks like she's peeking through a door and she can see a broadcast of the districts, right?
Right, yes. I think that's on a train.
And then the way it's shot is you suddenly hear Snow's voice saying, "Look at them." And it almost suggests that Katniss is outside of the room that they're in. And I was like, I was like, wait a minute. But it's not. It's just the way that it's shot, where it's like somehow she is viewing like security footage, and then we cut to Plutarch and Snow watching, I'm assuming, the very same footage, and that's when they have their conversation. And Snow's what is the word I want? Snow's assessment of Katniss is so off base in
terms
ways.
Of what?
Like he doesn't seem to, like, he says she, look at her, she just wants to save her own skin, she doesn't care about any of this, which in some ways is true, right?
Sure.
Like on the surface it's true, but underneath, like, that's a very superficial assessment of her, because she shows us time and time again that she does actually care about the bigger picture, and it's a little bit surprising to me that Snow, remember how in the first movie we were talking about how he's just like, I've got to have my eye on this girl, this nobody from District 12 for reasons that don't make sense.
Right. Yes.
So I expected him, since he's been watching her so closely, to have a much deeper understanding of her, but he doesn't. And I guess maybe that's just part of his flaw, is that he doesn't understand who this woman is, who this girl is, and keeps getting surprised by her.
Yeah, I think that really is it. It's just the I also think it's supposed to be that, like, she comes across as so what's the word I want? Inauthentic, in comparison to like PETA, who is really good with the crowd, that it's supposed to be he is reading her wrong because she has so much trouble just emoting in a way that's like understandable. But I don't feel like her performance is quite good enough to make that come across.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There was what was I going to say? I thought that her performance in this movie was an improvement on the first one, but still, she won an Oscar for something.
Yeah, I think it was
it?
American Hustle.
Was that it?
I think so.
That. I never saw that.
I never did either.
But I was watching, and this is shade to Jennifer Lawrence, but she's gonna be fine, y'all. So don't feel like you need to defend her.
She will.
She's doing great. But I was watching this this bitch won an Oscar for something. Like not too far long after this movie was out.
Yep.
But then I seconded that initial thought with, good for her.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta be like, all right, well, I don't know if I should be like, congratulations for fooling everybody, but that's kind of what I'm saying here, I guess, and I mean it. Congratulations, you fooled them.
And
can't fool a fooler.
What's the name? Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's his name.
Yes,
really, really terrific in this role.
So good.
Right? So good. I really enjoyed seeing him in this. I enjoyed just about everybody's performance of like note. I really like, if we talk about the people that we meet in this movie, I loved Beatty. That's Edgar Wright.
Yes.
And then
he's very good too. Yeah.
Oh goodness. And then the actress who plays Wiress is one of my fucking favorites. When she popped up, I squealed. I love Amanda Plummer. She's so goddamn weird. I love her. She
always plays a fucking weirdo, and it is hilarious to me how like reliable that is.
She just nails it. There's something about it that she just gets, and she just connects with that type of like weird ass character that's like slightly unhinged, but usually also gentle. And also like really like wounded and kind of vulnerable all at the same time. She just really fucking that's her wheelhouse, and she always kills it. So that was delightful. Who else popped up in this one that was new? I really enjoyed the actor that played Finnick. I loved the actress that played Joanna. The
actress that plays Joanna is really top tier.
She does
a great job with that anger.
I meant to look up who it was to see if she had been in anything else that I may have seen or we need to check out, because I loved it. She was just like, every scene she was in, it was like her holding back from punching somebody in the fucking face. Like, like everything, like with everything.
Definite energy.
That was the actress that they got to play Mags was perfect. Just good stuff. I wish that we could have seen a little bit more of some of the other tributes, especially like Cedar and not necessarily.
Oh, right,
the guy's name Chaff. I think the guy's name was Chaff, the one that kisses Katniss. Cedar didn't even get a line, and I think in the book she had a pretty nice moment with Katniss, because I remember being kind of sad when she's one of the first ones to die. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, I really liked that. I liked the whole cast. I really did. I'm trying to think if there was anybody where I was just like, oh, what is this motherfucker doing? And other than Gale, there really wasn't anybody.
Oh, God, amen. Amen, though.
Is he like in a different movie? He's in an entirely different movie.
It's really weird how he just, I can't explain this, you guys. So I think I just have to trust that you're going to understand what I mean. But he gives like some sort of like WB network youth TV kind of, you know what I'm talking about? Like that
sure do.
That teen drama kind of vibe that just doesn't fit the real energy this story is meant to convey, because it's so much higher stakes than that.
That is what I mean. Like, he is in an entirely different movie.
Yeah.
Like he's not, like, every time we cut to anything with him, I feel like I'm watching a different movie for 30 seconds. And then we go back, and then we go back to like the real movie. And it's possible that is purposeful if they're trying to draw this really stark distinction between her world with Gale and her world in the Hunger Games. Maybe that's by design. I think I'm being generous. I think I'm being very generous.
Agree. I would love to think that also. But yeah, that's just not it. It's such a shame too, because after disliking Gale so much in the book, it felt almost like it was easy mode to dislike this guy because he just doesn't feel right for the role in general. And I want to like Gale initially and then start to be like, but wait, buddy, what? Yeah. I want to have that sort of slow burn realization that like all is not well in Gale land. He isn't balanced. This isn't great. And it just, you come out of the gate being like, shut the fuck up, dude. Over and over again with him, because he's just got a whole energy that is grating for me. All of this is me just talking for me, but
I agree. It was one of the few times I found myself being like, oh, what the fuck are we doing here? They were like 9 times out of 10 Gale moments. And that's a real shame because he was such an important part of the story. And even though, you know, the love triangle aspect ended up being kind of like a little silly, and I wasn't really interested in seeing a lot of that on screen, but I enjoyed what you're talking about, which was the kind of like going from being like, oh shit, Gale's ride or die. Like, you know, that's who I want on my team. You know what I mean? He's right. To being like, huh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Gale, you okay, buddy?
And he's just kind of like on 100. And I know Gale book, like people might be saying, well, Gale in the book was on 100 from the start too. And he was, but it just was different. And I don't know if I can really articulate how, but it was just very different. Maybe like, and I think, and I know I made a joke about it in the first movie, but I think it has a lot to do with just how much older this actor seems than
I think so.
Everybody else, that it just doesn't feel like in my imagination, Gale and Katniss are much closer in age, even though I know he's older than her. So I expect them to be sort of like similar age wise when I see them. So when I pictured Gale having like all this anger about, you know, the oppression of the government and all that stuff, and I thought I was going to see another kid. You know how we can be, you know, when you get all like, you know, riled up, but you're
idealist
so child, you know, you know, and this was a different kind of like angry grown man shit, which is valid, but not what I was expecting of the character. Yeah,
I feel that. So, okay. So you've gone through most of the actors that I like. Philip Seymour Hoffman, it just endlessly depresses me every time I remember that he's gone, because this man was so gifted.
And this was his last role, right? That he passed before.
Was it?
I think I read that he died before they were done with production.
Okay.
Or maybe it's the following ones, because he would be in the next ones as well. So maybe it's the ending ones that he died in.
Okay.
Because he's in those other movies, right? I haven't seen them yet, obviously, but
I think so. I said this to you once before, and I'm not positive that I've seen the third movies. I think I
that's
saw
right.
one of them, but like, yeah, my memory of them is not clear. So
Right.
I can't really give you a good, I'm pretty sure he's there,
It
but,
says
and he
died
is
in
just,
2014, so,
okay.
and these movies came
Um,
out before then. Let's see.
But yeah, this dude is just, like I said, just so gifted. I had such a crush on him.
Did
Just
you really?
just because he was always in anything, he stood out. He was so charismatic, whether that was for good or ill. Because here he has that, but he's slimy. This is such a perfect Plutarch for me, where he's walking this line of technically doing the right thing, but the way that he thinks is so fucked up that you can't help but be like, okay, but how did you even think of that though? Like, I know you're actually on our side, but you feel like you shouldn't be because your brain is too capital oriented. If you can even come up with some of the things that you're saying. Do you know what I mean? Just the whole vibe of him. I always have been very fascinated with the variety of roles that he, like, have you seen Capote?
I haven't. I heard it was really good. I've never seen it though.
It is insane how Capote he is. It's like he's channeling him from beyond the grave.
Really?
It's almost creepy to watch. He has a completely different voice, posture, and none of it feels like you're watching somebody act, which is the thing that you run up against so often. You feel like, who's this guy? It's Philip Seymour Hoffman has disappeared. And I just think it's remarkable, and will never get over the fact that he had so much left that he could have done. There was so much, and what a fucking waste. It just depresses me. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my daily
He,
Philip Seymour Hoffman love.
he was in those fucking, what's the director? Paul Thomas Anderson? Is that the guy who did like Boogie Nights?
I'm not sure.
Have you
Oh,
seen Boogie
I haven't
Nights?
seen Boogie Nights. No.
Oh, he's in that. He's so good in that. And I think the first thing I ever saw him in was this movie called I want to say it was called Happiness, or was it Welcome to the Dollhouse? I think it was Happiness.
Oh no, Happiness. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I remember, I think that was the first thing I saw him in. And I remember just being like, what?
Yeah. Oh God, you guys, that movie is like, it's not happy. I'll just say that. Don't watch it if you aren't.
It's not happy at all. Don't
Not
be
even
fooled.
a little bit.
Don't be fooled.
I forgot he was in that.
But
and he's also in The Talented Mr. Ripley, which is one of my like all-time favorite movies. I don't know what it is about that movie, but something about it is so.
I have never seen it.
It's so good. It's like,
why did
I don't know.
In?
I'm not sure. I'm not good at telling if movies are good. I'll be honest, you guys. I can tell with television and books and movies. It's like, it's a whole different ball game, and I don't feel confident in my judgment, but I loved it. I thought the story was, and they came out with a new series that's the Talented Mr. Ripley stories, but what's his face?
I saw it. It just is called, it's called Ripley, right? And I was curious if it was the same deal. I don't know. I have to check them out. Because it's a series of like the Talented Miss So-and-so and the Talented Mr. blah, 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 right? There's like a couple of books in the series.
I think so.
We have got.
What was that?
I was trying to think. Fuck! It's gone that fast. In and out. Gone.
What can you do? But yeah, it's definitely a movie that I found like particularly heartbreaking and surprisingly so. And Matt Damon is weirdly excellent. Which is not a thing that I'm ever going to really say again, I don't think. But he was gripping somehow. So yeah, it's just, I just fucking love me some Philip Seymour Hoffman, guys. There's not a lot of actors that I get like this about, but he is just so exceptional. So forgive me.
And he was, you know what, he was so versatile too, because he would be in all of these very different types of movies, and
way different. It was wild.
He could be really fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which you wouldn't expect
like
from
Big
someone.
Lebowski. Like, yeah, he's hilarious in that as the sort of put upon assistant. Like a weird role.
Yeah, what a fucking sad loss that was. I remember when he passed, a friend of mine, I remember she called me. She was sobbing. She was so heartbroken when he died. It was like a death in the family.
I get it, girl. I do.
Yeah. But all right. So he was worth all that time we spent talking about him, though. I regret
he really
nothing.
Was.
I regret nothing.
Yep,
No apologies.
Agree. Unlike earlier today when I recorded with Miles about Sookie Stackhouse and got weirdly obsessed with this detail about a punch recipe that nobody cares about. I don't know why I spend so much time talking about it. Anybody who listens to that episode, I'm so sorry. Sorry about it. I was just distracted by it for no reason other than I make punch. I got no defense.
It's fine.
Sometimes my tangents are worthy, and sometimes they're those.
I went and looked up a list of movies he was in, because he's been in so many, and I just like things I had forgot he was in. Like, he was in Magnolia, which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Right.
He's in that. He's so good in that. He was in Almost Famous, which I always forget. He plays Lester Bangs in Almost Famous. He was just, my God, he was so good, and he was in so much shit. He was in so much shit. All right. That's it, though. We love him. He was phenomenal. But we'll move on.
Moving on.
Hey.
All right. So let's talk about the actual whipping scene. I want to talk about this. I was not because, it's Gale. So part of me was sort of like, am I going to care that he's getting whipped? But they managed to make it pretty upsetting. And I was surprised at how menacing found the guy who plays Thread.
Yeah. And even
I was real glad we didn't have to spend any more time with him. He was off-putting.
I was about to say, we don't ever even really see him again in a real way. And those few moments we spend with him, I whenever there's any reference to how terrible things got in 12, all I had to do was remember that one moment, and I was like, yeah, things are awful there. Yep. Things are terrible. Yep. They continued with not doing the AVOX thing, because we never met Darius in the first one. He's not here now at this scene.
Yeah.
It's really funny when Thread shows up and they show like the Peacekeeper from 12 greeting him, and they just put like a hood over his head. There's like no context in the movie for like who that is and what's going on in that moment, but obviously,
the movie does not care. They're just like,
not even a little bit.
That's
not
it.
even a little bit. And this actor,
and that's fine.
Like this guy playing, what's his name? Thread, the Peacekeeper.
Yeah, Thread.
He is like, his face is all splattered with blood, and like he's so unbothered by it, which to me is terrifying. Like, he doesn't even take a minute to like wipe his face.
Nah, he's used to it. That spatter of blood is part of his uniform. That's why he's here. That's it. He knows he's doing his job well when he's finally got the splatter. When he doesn't have it, he's like, I feel like I left something at home. Like, you forget your cell phone. But it's for blood splatter.
He's checking his pockets for splatter. Where is that splatter? Damn it. I know I had it. I just had it.
Oh, we're funny. All right. So I just like that. And I also like the way that Haymitch plays this moment, because in the book, it felt a little bit like Haymitch wasn't scared. Almost like
Yeah.
he's so used to having his way with stuff that he knew he could play it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, it really feels like he doesn't know if he has pushed it a little too far this time. How is this guy going to take it?
Right.
He's dealing with an unknown quantity here. And I preferred that on screen, at least.
Yeah, yeah. Can we talk about Haymitch a little bit in this movie? Because I feel like the
Let's
tone of him was a little bit different. He's still like drunk Uncle Haymitch, you know, and still much more like warm than he is in the books. But it felt like they tried to add like a little bit of bite to him that was lacking, in my opinion, in the first movie.
Give me an example.
There's when she goes and wakes him up and she dumps the water and like he jumps up and like freaks out on her. It was like a little menacing, and I was just like, ooh, okay, there's the fucking unhinged, unstable guy that's lurking right there beneath a very thin veneer of civility.
Yeah.
He was a little bit more reluctant when she comes to him, like when they find out that they're going to be reaped again, and she shows up. We have that scene where he's like, well, Peter was here 45 minutes ago. You know, you just like, you're finally clicking for you, sweetheart. And she's begging him to save Peter's life over hers. And it felt like that she had to try to convince him, where it felt like in the first movie, he would have been like on board immediately. Like, yes, of course, we're going to save, like this. It just felt like there was a little bit more reticence on his part than in the first movie. But so I don't know. I just felt a little bit not close to the book, but closer to the book, if that makes any sense at all. There were still some moments where I was just like, get the fuck out of here. He's not hugging nobody. Like when Effie comes in to say their final goodbyes, and she gives them I think it's when she gives them the bracelets. But there's a moment where Effie holds Katniss's hand, and then Haymitch reaches out and grabs Effie's hand and holds her hand. And I was just like, yeah, I know they go way back and everything, but come on now. Yeah,
definitely agree.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it sort of ties in with what we were saying about how difficult it is to show that Katniss isn't like actually in love with Peeta, and how so many people who hadn't read the books and only watched the movie apparently weren't understanding that she was faking it with Peeta. They thought that it wasn't really explained well by the movie, that was what was supposed to be happening. And again, that's like internal monologue stuff, but it's also the fact that like in the book, we are meant to sort of take Katniss as she is, and she doesn't have to be likable. But in this sort of movie, they have a lot more pressure on them to make her likable, and we get to know and appreciate Haymitch through her eyes because she understands how he thinks so much that we can read affection into actions that don't otherwise seem affectionate.
Right.
So the movie doesn't have that mechanic for us to sort of understand him better from her, and they have to cut directly to making him act different. Yeah. So that we get it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's my guess about what's going on here.
That's a really good point. And oh my God, my brain is like a fucking sieve. I swear to God, I had a thought while you were talking and I didn't want to interrupt you, and now it's gone. God damn it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
Talking about actions that don't otherwise seem affectionate, but can be taken that way through her eyes.
Yes. Well, I remember, but no, that's not it. But I did remember it. It was another thing about Snow that you somehow reminded me of when you're talking about how Katniss is pretending to be in love with Peeta. there's a moment where Snow has a line in this where he says something about, I think it's when he comes to visit her at the beginning of the movie. And he says, I don't know. At some point he says something about Katniss being indifferent. I think he says,
just when did he become aware of your indifference? Something like that.
Yeah, right. Which, when I was saying earlier about Snow's misreading, like, by this point, she is not indifferent to Peeta. She might not be romantically in love with him, to her knowledge, but indifferent seemed like the wrong choice. And I was like, it suggests that she doesn't care whether he lives or dies. And like, that is fundamentally incorrect. Yes. And so I was just like, is that just a poor choice of words on his part, or does he really not see it? And
I think it's that he doesn't see it because so many people didn't seem to see it from her and understand how she really felt. It was like the closest people in her life that got how much she genuinely gave a shit.
Right.
But and the people who were like fooled by the performance, but the people who were like in her life in a vague way, they all seemed to think that it was not real.
That's true, because we have that moment in the book and in the movie with Finnick being like, when first we have the oh my god, Finnick at the fucking chariot. Oh my god, he comes over. It's like beat for beat from the book with the sugar cube. But then we have when he gives Peeta the CPR from the force field, and he has that moment when he's looking at how freaked out and worried Katniss is. And you can see in his face of being like, oh, well, fuck. She does really care about him. So, all right. Okay. I'll allow it.
But let's talk about Snow in general, because it's sort of the thing that's difficult is that I get them wanting to show us Plutarch and Snow. It does feel like it undermines Snow as a threat a little bit, the way he gets bamboozled so directly here, and that's a problem. What did you think about the sort of intermittent Snow with his granddaughter wearing her hair in a braid?
Oh my god.
Whatever. It felt a little hacky to me, personally.
It was a little like, oh, the effect that she's having is reaching into my very own household. How dare.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I get, like, it's supposed to just be like another example for him, more proof of like the influence that Katniss is wielding, right? And that he's right to be concerned about Katniss in particular, no matter whether people keep trying to convince him that she's nothing to be that concerned about. It sort of is like evidence for him, like, no, I'm right to be fucking worried, because look at the impact she's having on even privileged, the most privileged of us in my capital, would be my granddaughter, and even she is smitten. She says there's a line they have her say when they're watching the games, and she tells him, I hope I love somebody this much one day. Talking about Katniss. I think it's when, maybe it's the same scene when Katniss is worried about Peeta living or dying with the CPR. Maybe it's later. But, and I thought that was a fun moment because, Katniss is supposed to be convincing everybody of her love for Peeta and, their love for each other. And then you have his granddaughter, like, eating it up. So, yeah. I don't know, but it was it makes me wonder, because there was no granddaughter in the book, right? We wouldn't know anything about
we
that.
Find out he has a granddaughter when the next, like, doing a last Hunger Games is suggested finally.
And someone in
just one line.
Yeah, one of the victims, maybe even Joanna or Inarbi, in Abaria.
I think it's in Abaria.
Is like, yeah, maybe his daughter will fucking, or his granddaughter can be in the games. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, having these like tender moments with him and his granddaughter, it just like he was so scary in the books. He was, even his meeting at Katniss's house.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't. I mean, I'm not trying to say it wasn't like scary to have the fucking president waiting in your study when you get home. You know, that's intimidating as fuck. But it just didn't. There's something about the way that Sutherland is playing this role that is missing a threat. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? It's just,
yes.
It's not delivering evil in the way that I felt like Snow was. And I know that you could say, well, you know, he's not necessarily evil. He's just a product of this environment, and he's, you know, made it to this level. And you got to do dirty shit to get to that level of power. But I think that he is like legit evil and like cartoonishly evil. And then he's being played with like almost too much restraint, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Like, I feel like if you told me that Donald Sutherland was going to be playing Snow, I would be excited because he can bring a sinister quality to things in such a great way. And yet it doesn't feel like he's really going for it here in a way that seems appropriate to me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So
that's this thing that we talked about in the first movie too, where it's like they are like, if there's subject matter, source material that is begging for you to go fucking ham, it's this. In every way, like visually, you know, with the characters, everything is saying go big, go big, go big, or go home. And there's just the sort of like tamping down that's happening that I really don't understand. And I don't know why they're not doing the fucking bloody fucking, you know, the blood and roses thing. Like, just give him one of those pills you chew.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, give him a white handkerchief that's subtly stained, you know, in little corners. It's, you know what I mean? Give him something. It'd be so easy to do. And I just like, it just added something. I cannot, well, you guys listened to us when we did the books. You knew how creeped out I was by the whole thing. It was so upsetting. And
I fully agree.
You know, like what is going on? Why does he smell like that? What is happening with his mouth? What is happening? And they just, and he gives her the rose, in the movie, and I cannot remember if he gives her the rose or if he just leaves it. Like if he takes it, is he wearing it and then he gives it to her?
I can't remember. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I can't remember how it goes in the book, but here he just like hands it to her, like slides it across the desk, like, here, this is for you. But there's no like, you know, without the whole like acknowledgement of how pungent the smell is and how overpowering it is, mixed with whatever weird smell he's got going on. Leaving the white rose, it means nothing to me. You know, it's a nothing gesture that happened that made no sense. And, you know, I don't know. It's fine.
It's really surprising to me that he feels like a weak link in this. Like, that shouldn't be how it works with Donald Sutherland, but he just really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so
let's talk real quick about the Buttercup correction.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Did they cast a new cat?
Yes, it's an orange cat now.
Oh my God. Amazing. I love it. I totally missed it. That's hilarious. I love the idea that the whole internet just absolutely lost their minds. They were like, you can change this, you can change that, but I will be goddamned if you change Buttercup to a non-orange cat.
You get
monsters.
That tuxedo cat the fuck out of here.
Exactly. Precisely. I didn't even notice that. That is great. Yeah, that makes me so happy.
And it's only like one scene when at some point, I think it's when Katniss comes home at the very beginning when Snow is there, and they're like, you know, how was your walk or whatever. It's just Prim standing in the doorway holding Buttercup, and that's pretty much the only time you see him through the whole fucking movie. Okay. Yeah, super, super easy to miss. But yeah, I cackled. I was like, they got that shit right. They fixed that right Finally. The fuck up.
Damn. That's amazing. Okay, that's great. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? Oh, the actual arena design itself. I think that part of the issue with the arena design with the last one is simply how much it's meant to just resemble being outdoors regular style. Mm-hmm. So the design aspect of this is so much more interesting because they got to do something really wild with it. And we're sort of let off the leash.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Off the chain's an entirely different thing, I think.
Yeah, that feels like it's not correct. But but yeah, I thought that the clock setup, like it looked very close to how I pictured it in my mind. What about you?
Same. I still have the same like gripe about the cornucopia, but what can you do?
Oh my God. I gotta find this comment. Somebody on the Discord said that the cornucopia looks like the same people worked on it who worked on the Elon's cars.
That Tesla fucking... I just saw one of those ugly ass... I don't know what he calls it, but you guys know what we're talking about. It's like a...
Cybertruck. Here it is.
That's what it is.
Lauren says the cornucopia in the movie looks like the inspo for the Tesla Cybertruck. And I just lost my shit. Lauren, absolutely top tier comment. Amazing. I just could not believe how correct that was. Ugh, amazing.
That's a very... I mean, she's not wrong. They are not wrong at all. I just saw one of those ugly ass trucks too the other day, walking from the store, and they are just heinous. There's nothing appealing about it whatsoever that I can ascertain. Maybe it's because I just am in the wrong tax bracket, but I don't fucking get it, not even a little bit.
Oh God! But too poor to understand. There'd be people that really thought that too.
I mean,
my favorite thing about criticizing Elon is how people just are like, "Well, he has money and you don't," so. And that's like their entire argument.
Oh, the whole argument. Okay,
he can't be flawed because he is rich, and I mean, if you're rich, that just means you're winning always.
That's what we say. You know,
that's how we act.
If you were a better person, you'd be rich too. That's the energy of those kind of statements. It must, it's like it's a moral failing to be poor.
Mm-hmm.
So, the arena I thought was, I'll tell you what, I thought they managed the, obstacles of the arena really, really well. I thought the fog was pretty cool. Even though I had to laugh, there's a moment where they take right before Mags walks into the fog, where they take several beats without moving. And it's like the fog is just chilling, giving them a few minutes to catch their breath.
Okay. Can we look? I'm not trying to nitpick too much because I actually did really like this one better. But can we just talk briefly about the fact that Katniss stares at that fog with her hand outstretched to touch it when a bitch should know perfectly well to get the fuck out of there right now, please? Oh my God, I could not handle, like, and again, I know this is the thing with it being like an imperfect medium for conveying somebody's internal dialogue. We know from her internal dialogue in the book that she has seen poison gas used in the games before. This is something that she would be familiar with, and it would she would not puzzle over what's happening here. She would immediately be like, oh, time to go.
Yep.
And they can't get that across without, however, I like to think that you don't need to have the record of seeing it being done before, because you're in the arena and can assume this is bad because of sense.
Yep.
That's just me.
I feel like, considering the circumstances, the assumption would automatically be strange mist approaching out of nowhere. This cannot be here to help me, because nothing is here to help me. Everything is here purposefully to harm / kill me. I can I feel comfortable leaping to conclusions in this circumstance.
Exactly.
So yeah, when she put her hand out, I was like, girl, what are you doing? What are we doing?
Like, I don't need to be in the arena, and I see a weird fog coming at me like that, and I'm not touching it. And I'm not in the Hunger Games. I just wouldn't, because that doesn't seem...
I don't even like when it's foggy out when I go to work in the morning. And that's just regular life. Like, I'm not poking my head into it. No. But I will say the effect of it was pretty cool to see on the screen.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty dope scene when they finally get far enough away from it and it hits its little wedge barrier.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see. What else did I like about the fucking spile, you guys? And again, I know it sounds we're nitpicking.
Oh my God. That spile was very sexual. I wasn't ready for how uncomfortable to watch that was.
She opens it. They go, what is it? And she goes, I think it's the spile. Boom. Done. Mystery solved.
Done. Right? We don't need it. We don't need the mystery. And you know what? We really didn't. That's fine.
It's fine.
I'll take it.
And what was the other thing that they did that I thought was pretty cool? The actual where the cornucopia is at the center of the clock, and with all the wedges, and the scene with them all together. When Beatty and Wiress and Joanna hook up with them on the beach. They also, you know what I will say, and I can't believe this didn't occur to me when we were reading the book, because it should have. Does it seem weird to you, because Beatty and Wiress are so close and so in sync with each other that they have such a good understanding, and yet Beatty didn't understand what she was trying to say? And she had been trying to express the clock thing for apparently a while, because Joanna was annoyed. It's weird that he didn't pick, it's weird that he didn't get it. I mean, I understand the wanting it to be Katniss to get it, both in the book, and then in the movie. But does it seem weird to you? Like they were so...
I almost wonder if he did get it, but because he's in on this conspiracy, he can't make it obvious right away that he knows exactly what she means. But that's very weak headcanoning. I don't know, actually. Question for the audience. Do you guys think that Wiress was also in on it and knew what was happening? Or was it just Beatty? Curious to know what folks...
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I feel like if I had to make a guess, it doesn't make sense to me that it would only be the one. I feel like they seem so, I keep wanting to say the word simpatico, and that does not feel right or even real.
simpatico is a thing, but I think it just means more like we are in total agreement.
Okay.
And what you are suggesting means like they're always on the same brainwave, like they're interpreting things the same way. And
that's what I'm going for. Like they're just like in tune with each other, and they like are on the same page. And like we have that when they finish each other's sentences at the training facility. And when they're trying to start the fire and looking at the force field, they just seem like they're really like clicking together in a way.
I loved when Katniss says, "How can you tell about the force field?" And they both just crack up and go, "How can you tell?" to each other.
This is what I mean, so right? That was so good. But
she asked, "How can you tell?" It just feels very Monty Python somehow to me. He said they've already got one. But yeah, I feel like Wiress might not be somebody that you want to tell this info to because she is so out of it sometimes that I wouldn't be completely confident she wouldn't just blurt something out. So like, and I'm probably not being fair, but it just does kind of, she gives me pause a little bit on that front. Beatty is with it. Beatty we can tell and he'll know to shut up. Wiress, I feel like she'd know to shut up most of the time, but there might be some point where she just says a thing, and now you have to come up with something. Like I don't know. Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point. When they're like, "What's wrong with her?" talking about Wiress and saying "tick-tock, tick-tock" over and over again, and Beatty is just like, she's in shock. That's all she's in shock. Maybe. Yeah, that seems like it's almost like he's trying to keep downplay what she's saying. So maybe he did understand what she was saying, and he was trying to, for whatever reason, keep it under wraps, but I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't 100%
I don't know.
sense to me. But I did enjoy both of them a lot, and she dies so violently, so quick. I forgot that happened, y'all.
Oh, it's awful.
I forgot that's how she dies. That guy, I forget what the guy's name is. One of the District 1 or 2 people just kind of shows up out of fucking nowhere, like just boom, he's there, and it happens so fast. And then I have to say, I enjoyed, probably because it's Philip Seymour Hoffman, but I remember being really kind of distracted and a little annoyed with the constant cutaways to Command Central in the first movie, but I liked them a lot more this time around. And the way he delivers that line about "let's spin it and see if they can tell time now," it was just so like, ooh. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman really excels at the slimy, sinister quality, and he was just such a good fit for a role that's shades of gray like this. And since I don't really remember the other movies, I'm pretty excited to see him get to be Plutarch some more. I'm pretty stoked about it. I just feel like it's going to be a good time, hopefully, but a bad time also. Because naturally.
Do you want to talk about Finnick for a little bit?
Let's talk about Finnick. So I'm going to be honest. I was a little bummed when we met him the first time in my viewing experience because I don't find him attractive at all. I find him genuinely off-putting. He's
got a weird face, and I don't mean that necessarily like you use off-putting, which is some strong language, ma'am.
I apologize, but I also mean it and don't apologize at all. So.
But he's got there's something that's just, I don't know. I don't want to say off-putting because it seems too mean, and I don't want to say anything mean, but he's not as like, he's not the fucking piece of ass I was expecting in the way that I was expecting. You know what I mean? Like I was expecting like a snack, like a real snackety snack. And,
oh my God.
He shows up and he's all shirtless and shit. And I'm just like, I guess.
You know who he reminds me of? And like, I this is like the kind of thing that I feel like you could take it the wrong way. He reminds me of Matt Rife, the comedian.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I'm saying though? Like where, yes, technically I can see why people think you're attractive, but to me, you look like a person who got way too much cosmetic surgery. And I'm not even sure they did. I don't know that they got any. But there is something about the look of their face that is so exaggerated in certain ways that it doesn't feel real.
It's like an AI face.
A little bit. I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but it just is the sort of thing that I have this thing as well where I know that what I find attractive tends to not be like the consensus about what's attractive. So when there's a character in a book described as exceptionally beautiful and then they turn up, I'm almost always a little disappointed because I'm just like, that's not, oh, really? That's a boring attractive, you know?
Right.
I felt that way with like, what's his face playing Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something when you are almost too good looking that you just become uninteresting.
Like, yeah, you're very proportional and symmetrical and all that, and you've got pouty lips, and I can't find any character there, or not. It's not even like a character. It's just not what I'm looking for, and so it's immediate disinterest for me. That's all. But
I did like his performance though. I enjoyed him as Finnick. And I enjoyed all his scenes with Katniss. The stuff with Mags, they don't really get into. They have Joanna give us like a little exposition, explain, who Mags is to Finnick. But just seeing them together was really, really sweet. And I almost felt like when Mags walks into the fog and he is like yelling at her not to go, like a little choked up, y'all.
Yeah.
A little choked up. And then, of course, with the fucking Jabberjays, and he thinks it's Annie because
that Jabberjay scene was really good.
It was so good, you guys. It was so good. It was so good. Like
I was not ready for how upsetting that wound up being. Like, at all.
Agreed. Like everything with the visuals, with the birds, and they're all in their face and flying into their heads, and then the screaming, and it was so well done. And when it cuts to like the hour being over and she's just huddled in the ground with like her hands over her ears, like fucking freaking out, I felt that in my spirit. It was just really, really, really well done. Yeah, it was almost worse than it was definitely worse than just reading about it. It was definitely worse.
Agree. Yeah, I feel like there are certain things that it can be really difficult to get across in text, and a sound being upsetting is really, really hard a lot of the time to me.
Yeah.
I come across that a fair amount, and I'm just like, I have to really think about the sort of metaphor that they use sometimes for what it sounds like, or when PETA says something about them torturing the Avoxes and how they just made these like guttural animal sounds. I thought that was pretty effective. That one fucked with me. But the Jabberjays and the extent of the screaming and how how loud and piercing it is.
Yes, and it went on for like
Yep.
just the perfect amount of time. Like, I don't want to say it was too long because it needed to be the amount of time that it was to get like the effect of it. But it was probably like, it's weird to say it was one of my like favorite scenes, but as far as like how well it was done, that's going to be like top 5 for me of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they fucking nailed that. They got that so right. Let's, if you don't mind, let's take a minute to just talk about Cinna's fashion for this movie. What did you think about the chariot outfits? I will say I like the chariot scene this time. I know it's pretty similar to the first one, but somehow this felt like grander to me. The scale seemed a lot bigger just by the way that they shot it.
Okay.
So
we're not on the same page with that.
You think it was? What did you think?
I was so taken aback at how bad the chariot scene looked. Everything about it.
Oh no!
Everything. And I wound up searching this because I was like, I need somebody to tell me that I'm right about this. And I found one. A shot of them filming the scene on set, and it's a empty dirt lot in the middle of a field, and they are surrounded by trucks and pulleys and things, and there's like a very basic chariot and the horses. Everything in that scene was CGI. All of it. Really? The street, the stands, every single bit. It's all computer in it. And I was like, it felt so unreal to me watching it. I was like, this is like a fucking video game. This is awful.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry,
I am embarrassed. I am shocked and dismayed and embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed because I am really bad at spotting bad wigs and also fake accents. We all have our things that are our blind spots, and I will believe an actor is American when everybody else is like, oh my God, his American accent was so bad. And I'm like, was it? Oh no. Was it? Like, I couldn't tell at all. I really can't.
What did you think of the flame effect on the outfits themselves?
It's so weak.
It was
weak,
so
right? Pathetic.
It was weak.
I don't know how, like, this movie was so much better, and it did look like they spent more money on the movie than they did last time. But these outfits just never fail to disappoint.
The wedding gown was like, I thought the wedding, I'm going to say it was very pretty, for what it was. But the reveal after it burns and the reveal into the Mockingjay, weak sauce. So weak.
Yeah, wholly agree. That Mockingjay is so, again, all animated. It's none of it is really there. And that for me is what's so, I understand that you have to CGI the transformation of the dress. It would be awesome if you could just figure it out and make it happen. But I get it.
Right.
But you were telling me you can't just make some Mockingjay wings?
You could have made her.
You can just actually make some like puppety kind of, you know? Like, really? You couldn't even do that? Because for me, she lifts her arms and they swoop up in this way that just looks so unnatural and is so clearly the actress not knowing anything about what the shape of these is going to be or where they're coming from out of the dress. She doesn't look down to see them, Katniss. So it's like she just spins and lifts her arms and doesn't seem shocked at the transformation of her own dress. Yep. Everything about it was wrong. I hated it. I was so disappointed.
It's weird that it's interesting the things that they get right, and then it seemed like they would be really difficult to capture. And then the things you think would be easier for them to manage, they just like don't.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's really strange. And I don't know if it was still like we had a budget thing going on then and that was what was happening, but it just felt it just keeps giving cheap. And I can't I don't know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just cheaper to animate something in CGI than it is to pay a costume designer to make the thing. I'm sure that's what it is.
I have no idea.
It really comes across.
I was literally thinking the exact opposite. I was just literally thinking they blew the budget on the CGI for these effects and didn't have a budget left for practical outfits, and like practical effects.
Maybe.
Because of where the movie is playing for me, it happens to just be in the elevator scene when Joanna comes in and takes off her outfit.
Yes.
I just love her so much.
She's delightful. She really is.
Oh, goodness gracious. A change they made that didn't really sway me one way or the other, I just thought was an interesting choice. And again, because, because it was an actual conversation that happened in the book, so they could have done it that way. But the final evaluations at the training center, when we have, first of all, they completely got rid of the time PETA spends with the morphlings, which then makes, when the morphling saves PETA, when I was reading the book, I remember being like, well, they had that time in the training center, but was that enough to warrant that? And then when she jumps out and saves him, and Katniss, I think she even asked him, like, did you have like what and why? And he just is just like, no, I really didn't spend that much time with her. Like, I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. But the final evaluation, they have Katniss go in immediately after PETA. They pass each other. It's not like the hours it takes, for her to get her turn. And so she walks in and the painting of Rue is still on the floor.
Yeah. She
gets to see it, which she doesn't in the book, because they go through great lengths to like try to scrub it away and cover it and all that other shit. There's a really wonderful moment of her reacting to that. And then it feels like it helps fuel her rage to do the Seneca Crane dummy thing.
Yeah,
so I thought that kind of worked well as a change.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, that wasn't like I was just going to say it wasn't like a needed change, but it was a change they made that I thought worked, which was there's not a lot of those.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, I really agree. It's the sort of thing that it's like, well, if you're in a visual medium, may as well take advantage of that and let us actually see the portrait and do that, because in the book, he just tells her about it later. And all she knows is that she comes in and it smells like cleaning product. So yeah, I think it works really well. Like you said, that this is like an inspiration for her to do the Seneca Crane thing, which is her bow after she's done. It's so good.
It's so good again, right? So it's really good. Yeah. I want to mention, because we have to. So they give them much better outfits to wear to the arena than what we get in the book.
It's true. Yes.
Everybody's in like these, like, what do you call that? These not swimsuits, but, wetsuits.
Like, I was about to say like a neoprene.
Which, not that I wanted to see the flotation devices, but you can't get everything.
I forgot about that. That's funny.
And they have it so PETA can swim this time, and it's actually like fighting.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because Finnick has to save him twice in the books, and this time it's just saving him from the force field. But yeah, I was like, okay, we're not getting a fucking plastic outfit with the floaty device around, and this is probably This is probably better.
For the best. Yeah. You know what? Something that I definitely want to talk about is Cinna getting his ass beat as she's going up in the.
Yeah.
That was really, really well done.
Yeah. This was awful. But
she just
well done.
really heart-wrenching moment that felt like she really was being fucked with so hard here, you know?
Yeah. It was, and like we knew it was coming. And we know that it's done on purpose, but to see them wait until she's in the tube and then come in right at that precise second, you know, it's just, and then to watch, you know, they just fucking beat the shit out of him and then drag him off. And then it's like no time to process because boom, she's shot up and she's like, and in the fucking games. And it's so cruel. The moment too of them on stage before, at the last like night when they're with Caesar Flickerman, I kept meaning to look up this actor who's playing him. I think I asked you in the first episode. I cannot remember who this is.
The one playing Caesar Flickerman?
Yeah,
Stanley Tucci.
Thank you. I was going fucking crazy. He is really good in this role.
He is.
It is like. He's so obnoxious and it's like such a good take or commentary on our way we consume other people's lives and their and the type of personality that is our entry point to the thing that we're consuming. And he's so he is fucking going for it.
Oh yeah,
definitely. He's going for it. And it's like just like the way he's playing with the audience and like aren't we sad, everybody? Oh, aren't we sad? You know, and like literally telling everybody what to feel, what you should be feeling in this moment. You know, oh, this is the moment where we're happy. Oh, everybody be happy. Oh, this is the moment we're sad, you guys. This is a sad moment. The only thing I say is I wish they would have given him the lipstick.
That was what I also felt was like they gave him the wild hair
and the eyebrows.
I missed the lipstick that matches the hair every time, and that sort of like just being a bit of one of his trademarks.
They gave him dyed eyebrows to go with the hair, and I can't remember if that's in the book. But
I don't remember.
But they didn't go with the lipstick, and I'm curious about that. I wonder if Stanley Tucci was just like, I don't know, guys, that's too much. But it seems like he would be down for anything. I mean, he's wearing like eyeliner and eyeshadow and shit. So I think it was more of a movie, like not an actor choice, but like a director choice or whatever. But they really should have fucking, because he was so going so hard, you might as well have just fucking done the whole thing, you know?
Right. Yeah, I do. I really enjoy too how like the stage has all of these different screens of his face just turning and waving and smiling in the interim before he like comes out on stage.
Yep.
It's just so, it's so correct.
Yep.
And so painful.
Yep.
The fact that it's correct hurts. I don't like it.
Fucking Suzanne Collins' background in reality TV, right?
Yes.
She is like, she knows exactly what she's doing with this character, and it is so on point, and it makes me like, I was thinking about when I was watching this, because you and I were talking before we started recording, I'm planning on watching The Circle. And I was, as I was watching this, I was like, oh, but I'm going to be watching The Circle. Like, God, I'm part of the problem. I am part of the problem. Literally. Yeah. You remember that I said something about like watching The Circle and seeing like somebody fall in love with a player that we know isn't real. And I said something about like, yeah, I feel like that's a lot more mean spirited than I kind of realized at the time. Like, you know, I don't. Yeah. We're all part of the problem. We're all complicit. It's true. Effie, enjoyed her.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed her. this fucking Elizabeth Banks is another one who is doing her best to like go for it in this role. I feel like,
I agree.
I
feel like this is what I like about her is that she always feels like she's just going for it. And I just respect that so much.
Yeah, yeah. That butterfly dress she's wearing at the reaping is bananas.
Amazing! Oh, I love it so much. When I tell you guys, if I had the money and the like sewing expertise, I would dress like a complete drag queen every day of my life. Like the outfits she wears are so over the top, and that's just God, it's such a vibe.
The one she
it's
wears
so
to the president's ball too, with that big high lavender collar.
That ruff. It's so good.
Yeah. See, this is what I mean. Like some things they just get. And then you're just
how come her fashion is so good?
Mm-hmm. You're like, what happened? What
happened?
Was that person not at work that day? Like, what? I don't understand.
That's a really, you know what? Maybe it is sort of like it was a collaborative thing, and some people just are not as good at it as others. The problem, though, for me remains then you don't have somebody who isn't as strong a designer design one of the most important dresses in the movie, which is Katniss's transformation dress. Like then you don't do that. Then don't do it.
It's just a really strange set of choices that they make. So we have jumped over a lot of stuff, but I think we also covered a lot of stuff as well. And considering that we need to go like beat by beat. I will say that as I was trying to imagine not having read the books and, seeing what played out in the arena and especially towards the end with Beatty's plan and then her getting knocked out and just being like, what the fuck is happening? That I would have been completely unprepared for the ending if I hadn't read the books, Well, I was reading the books too.
That's fun.
But I was just like, even though I knew what was going to happen, I found myself being like, what? Oh my God. What are they doing?
That's fun. I love that. I feel like that's like such a difficult thing. Twists, man. There's a reason that like we kind of got hooked on them for a while because when they're good, they're very, very good. But we also have had some bad ones, man.
Oh, chow. Yeah, we got a little obsessive about the twist.
And, it's like we don't always need it. It's okay.
I'm not going to like name drop anybody. M. Night Shyamalan. But things got wildly out of control for a minute there.
He really just made everybody think like he bought into his own hype with feeling the need to always do it. And he also got a bunch of other directors convinced that they needed to do it every time as well. And everybody just calm down. Just relax. It's okay. We don't always need it. Sometimes we could just have the story be what it looks like. And that's the biggest twist of all.
So, what did you think about Katniss and Peeta and their interactions? And I don't want to call it a relationship, but I'll say relationship in this movie, like on screen together. Because, I had some feelings about Peeta in the first one. I liked Peeta, even though I think we get less of him in this movie, weirdly.
Yeah, that's funny. I was going to say, like, I actually remember very little of their relationship. Like, I remember their moment with the locket and stuff, but I actually don't remember very much. Yeah, and so I've got to say that must be not a great sign for how I felt about it, I guess.
It's funny, like he's such a big part of the movie, but it's a lot of talking about Peeta, or talking around him, But I have to say this kid that's playing him is growing on me a little bit. I really, I was trying to be very nice in the first one. but he's grown on me a little bit. I don't know if it's because he's growing up and growing maybe into his face a little bit more. He's way too young for me to even have an opinion about whether he's attractive or not. He's like a baby, but I found him to be more attractive in this movie than I did in the first one, and I think it's because he's a little bit older.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And their relationship is, they have some moments. They don't go into great detail, but what they do in this one is they have them have a moment where she wakes up from a night terror and he runs in and she explains, oh no, but she's a bad dream. And he does the whole, like, I have them too. And then they like are sleeping together. And I thought those moments were really very sweet. And, you know, she's kissing him, she's kissing Gail. We read the books, we know how that goes. But but they have like a real kiss in the locket scene. I think is when they have the first really passionate kiss of this movie. And I don't know, I just felt like their chemistry and their connection was, I felt it more in this movie, even though we don't get as much of him as say we get in like the first one. But
well, that's good then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel bad that I don't really remember very much.
Well, he's like in peril a lot of the movie, you know?
Yeah, we do get a lot of that. Which is fine. I mean, that's the whole point, but it can, it's interesting that he has been sort of damseled. I don't have an inherent problem with it, but it is kind of funny.
And then I just want to talk about how fucking cool it looks when this fucking arena goes up in flames.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, when she shoots that fucking arrow up into the lightning strike and that whole shit.
And it just peels apart.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that was really, really cool.
That was cool as fuck to see. And it cuts to Snow watching and being like, what the fuck? And then he calls for Heavensby, he calls for Plutarch, and that motherfucker is nowhere to be found.
Gone!
And I cannot imagine it being like in the theater, not knowing what's happening and being like, what is happening right now? What did she just do? Where is fucking Plutarch? Like, what the fuck? And then cutting to him being on the hovercraft again must have just been like a bananas moment if you didn't know it was
Yeah, I kept thinking about like just the overall sense of foreboding with Plutarch's character, and the way that they play it is that basically Snow is wanting him to take Katniss out of the equation, but Plutarch, of course, has to pretend that's what he's willing to do. Like that's the game plan for him as well, but just to buy time so that she won't die in the midst of everything. And it is, the way that he plays it is just basically, we're going to turn the crowds against her. We're going to make her do certain things so that everybody loses faith in her.
Yep. Get her hands dirty, he says.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like, you know, whippings, wedding dress, people being shot, who's invited to the party, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the playing it like that because they established in the last movie, even though I didn't like it, that Snow is very hands-on with the games for some reason. So they've got to have something going on with Plutarch and him. And you also need to make Plutarch really seem like a bad guy. Yeah,
and you got to give Snow something to fucking do, you know, like we talked about in the first one. There's a second conversation towards the end where Snow is getting really fucking frustrated because they've got this plan together. You know, Beatty's going to do the lightning strike, and Snow is like, that's enough. Like, we need to eliminate her. And Plutarch has to do the thing you're talking about where he's like, no, we can let this play out because it's moves and counter moves. I think it's something like that. He says, we'll let them do what they're going to do, but then we're going to have our answer back. And to your earlier thing that you were talking about, we talked about at the beginning when he's talking about the flogging and the wedding. And he says, people are going to lose once she starts killing people. They're going to lose faith in her. Don't worry about it. You know, they're going to see her betraying her allies because as he's trying to convince Snow that this is going to be just like a regular Hunger Games, and that's what everybody is doing, is going to be every man for himself. So, and Snow believes that's what this is. And then we find out at the end of the movie that it was never that. Like they knew at the very beginning that they were going to sacrifice themselves in service of getting Katniss and hopefully Peeta out. And Plutarch has to maintain this balance of convincing Snow that they have the same objective while he's got this whole other agenda. It does take the teeth out of Snow a little bit because like you said, I think you said something like it kind of makes Snow kind of like the fool in a way that you don't get when you're reading the books. But I think that this is how it must have gone, like off page in the book. In order for Plutarch to have been successful, he would have had to play this game, right?
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I cannot say enough about how much I enjoyed Philip Seymour Hoffman in this role. He's amazing. Did the damn thing. So yeah, she shoots the arrow and the whole thing comes crashing down. Plutarch is MIA, and I don't like this thing that comes down to lift the bodies out of the arena. I didn't like it in the first.
Oh yeah, that like crane thing.
Yeah, I don't like that. I feel I had pictured something so different in my head in the book. I think I said it too. I had pictured like a tractor beam situation. But
I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening. I thought there was like a beam that they were going down and like, you know, pulling the body up, like something out of like an alien movie or something. Like way more sci-fi in my head than this like contraption that comes down and scoops you up.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's like construction equipment or something.
It's like a fucking claw machine, like you're trying to get a stuffed animal out of the fucking
oh my god aisle. It is like a claw machine. Oh my god, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't think of that, but that's exactly what it is. That's hilarious. Oh man.
So they lift her out and it's quite dramatic. She's all limp, you know, and half conscious, and she wakes up and you know, realizes where she is, overhears them discussing her and Peeta and Haymitch and Plutarch and Finnick, and
yes,
they like are trying to calm her down. She loses her shit, you know, and then they drug her, and then I think the movie ends with her and Gale, where he's telling her that basically it's like word for word out of the book too. It's just like, you know, she asks like why he's here, and he has to tell her that there's no District 12 anymore. It's gone. But he also, you know, tells her that Prim and her mom are sick. She doesn't even ask about her mom. She asks about Prim, which is
oh my god. I didn't even think about that. But her mother, just the way that she's like she's like not a non-character, but she's a non-consideration almost. And didn't even have a name, which I just think is fascinating to do that, to have the main character's parent, who is very much alive, not have a name. Yeah. That's a choice.
Yeah. Has to be. And there's only like, she doesn't really have any lines in this at all, but there's when Gale is brought to the house after the flogging, there's a quick scene where the mom is trying to fill a syringe with morphine, and her hands are shaking so bad that Prim has to take it from her. Yeah. But there's like no discussion about any of that. But we know from the books that this is reminding her mom of the bad times, the before times or whatever, and that she is like having her own sort of PTSD freak out. But it just looks in the movie as if her mom is like low-key incompetent.
Yes.
Which is sort of
it just
a bummer.
Look like she's got no nerve.
Yeah, and we know that this is the, like, in the book, she is in charge, you know, of when Gale comes. Like, there's like this is one of the things Katniss's mom is able to do. Like, this is her jam. She's like she runs that whole room in the book, you know? But yeah, it was a lot easier to watch this one. I wasn't as caught up in the, before we wrap, I do want to talk about the fucking Victory Tour really quickly.
Oh, I can't believe that we didn't touch on that. Yeah. Yeah. Is it just me, or was that integration bye-bye in District 11?
That was a movie invention, right? The movie said we're not doing that.
But they had integration in the last movie, is what I mean. There was definitely white people living in District 11, and in this one, it doesn't seem like they did that.
There was white people.
Were there? Okay, I couldn't remember.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you meant when you were like, bye, like it went bye. But no, there's white people in this. Yeah, I clocked them. I was like, I see y'all. Still scared to just do it, huh?
Oh God.
This fucking Victory Tour, which I can't remember if this was in the book or not, but they have them after everything goes haywire in 11, and Katniss sees the man get shot and there's a riot and all that. They are sticking to their script hard. Yeah. And the crowds are like, tell us what you really feel. Stop reading from the card. Stop being fake. You know, tell us something. Was that in the book?
We don't hear them respond that way, but we do get them talking about from now on, we stick to the script. And there was, I feel like Katniss mentions that there is definitely like a simmering anger coming off a lot of the people when they do stick to the script, but we don't get a specific instance of what they say. And how angry they are about that.
All right, cool. But all right, so that's not so much an invention, but just sort of an expanding on something that was already there. Because these people were just like, you are full of shit. We can tell you're full of shit. You don't mean these words, and getting really riled up.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, even with the little, you know, picks I had, the little nitpickings that we had, I still enjoyed it. I thought it was much better than the first one, much easier for me to watch once I got my feet wet in this world. And I am really, really looking forward to the next one, which, if I remember correctly, is split into 2 movies. We talked about that.
Yes, it is, for some reason.
That was because we talked about how that turned into like a thing that every YA movie had decided they had to do, was take the last book and make it into 2 movies for reasons. The
reasons are money, and that is
usually the reason.
Always. Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more Plutarch. I'm looking forward to seeing 13 on screen. I can't wait to see you told me who plays Boggs. I don't remember if you told me who plays Coin. I know I asked, was it Black? And you said no, but I don't know if you told me who plays Coin.
I did.
And I have already forgotten.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And there's so much that happens in the third book as far as them being like on the ground and like moving through the capital. I'm hoping that they don't cut that out because I really want to see that stuff.
Yeah.
When they first are like going through with the hollow and going from the house and like trying to get through the city and sort of incognito. I can't wait to see Peter and what that looks like when he returns, when he's rescued. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing how they play that and if it works or if it doesn't work. I don't know if this actor, this kid, has the chops for like a crazy Peter. So that'll be fun to see. Like, does he pull it off? I don't know. I'm going to see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Because again, I don't remember. So I can't even like think to myself, oh, she's going to be disappointed. I don't remember. I can't even remember if I saw it. So
this will be fun for both of us.
It'll certainly be something. I am curious though, like now I'm going to look how long this movie is because it's just the last one was over 2 hours. This one was like 2 hours and what was it? Like 18 minutes? It was quite a bit longer. Mockingjay Part 1, 2 hours and 3 minutes. So Mockingjay's shorter. The first one. And then Mockingjay Part 2 is 2 hours, 17 minutes.
So I'll need to schedule
I feel like if you
accordingly.
I feel like if they're going to put turn this book into two movies, if they don't make everything that felt interesting about that book fit into the time that they have decided to use, then they're useless. Like, you can't expand this into two movies and then skip some of our favorite stuff. So please don't do that, guys. Just give us what we want. Give us what we're all here for. All the little moments, something that I have been particularly interested in, and I don't remember again if this is shown or not, is Tigress and how creepy she looks.
They've got to do that part. There's no way they skip that.
I
hope. They better fucking do it right. Right? Don't just give me a cat eyeliner. You know what I'm saying? Don't give me cat eyes and call it a fucking day. I will be incensed.
Agreed. That didn't even occur to me. Oh, I'm kind of worried now. But yeah, I feel like I'm sure as soon as I turn off my recording device, I will reach a moment where I'm like, I cannot believe we didn't talk about blank. But as of right now, I feel like we've covered the bases that I wanted covered. Is there anything else that you felt like you wanted to add?
I think we covered pretty much everything. I mean, there's some beats that we didn't really go into great detail about, but we said that at the beginning that we wouldn't. I mean, Joanna telling everybody to go fuck themselves was, that was pretty. Yeah, that was good stuff. But but yeah, whatever we didn't mention. I'm sure we talked about in great detail in the book, so I feel like people know how we feel about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just really hope that the next movie is a continuing of the upward trajectory of our overall opinion.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but sometimes that will be what happens as the movies are more and more successful. They get like a better budget. They feel like a little bit freer to maybe go a little bit harder and like expand their vision. And like you said, you've got 4 hours and 4.5 hours to tell the story of one not particularly long book. So every fucking thing should be in there. everything.
No, not particularly long book is a good way to like really point that out. Because I don't feel like I have ever covered anything for Unspoiled proper. Spoil Me is a different matter. But for Unspoiled proper, that went by as fast as covering this series felt like it went. Mm-hmm. It moves, you know?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's if there weren't like 20 books in the series, it's very similar to how fast Dresden moved. Because, you know, we flew through those books. It just happens to be like 100 of them.
Yeah, that's true. God, there are so many of those.
Really,
listen to our Dresden coverage, guys.
Oh my God, you guys, it's so much fun. If you haven't listened to that, please listen and read the books. It is a hoot. Yeah, I said hoot.
It is a hoot. She's right. I just wasn't expecting you to say that, but I enjoy it. All right. Well, I think that's everything. Let me see actually if I've got new patrons to greet. I can't believe that I wasn't prepped for that. I've just been kind of scrolling through the movie and seeing if there are any spots in it that had something going on that I like regretted not bringing up. And there was only one very small thing, although I do kind of find it to be significant, that they didn't do in the film that I was a bit disappointed by. And that is the scene where they are recovering from the burning gas, and they have that mud all over them and look crazy, and they like prank PETA by waking him up with their face right next to his.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that.
It's just such a nice light moment, and this movie is very serious and heavy, and having a bit of a joke and bonding moment like that, I feel like would have been nice.
Yeah.
You know? Because our guys do not get to like joke almost ever. So I was sort of hoping we were going to get that, but they pretty much just do like the seawater fixes everything, and that's all.
Yeah. They just have her go in, and then they drag Finnegan, and but I will say it was kind of a cool little effect they managed to pull off, where once they were submerged in the water, you could see like the gas escaping from their skin. That was a neat little effect. And we didn't talk.
Yeah,
about
I
the
kept
monkeys.
thinking that like the scabs on them were like made with Elmer's glue or something, so they were water soluble. So it looks like it's the actual skin coming off, but it's just glue. It's fine. A little bit of effects stuff. I'm sure it was not just Elmer's glue. I'm not saying that for real.
I'm sure they added at least one thing to the glue. It wasn't just Elmer's glue.
God forbid. Anyway, so yeah, we have 3 new patrons from last time. Hey, hooray!
Nice.
Let's do a little bit, and then a little bit, and then some of this. Yeah, that's the stuff. Give it to them. That anthem really goes with the applause. It's just great. So we've got Myrto, Mirto, Kate, and JM.
Welcome.
So welcome. Appreciate y'all a lot. Really hoping that you're enjoying all the goodies that you get when you sign up. And there's a lot, you guys. There's a big back catalog of stuff. And I just, I really encourage anybody who enjoys the show enough that you find yourself sort of waiting for it to come out. If you're ever in a position where you're just like, they didn't have an episode this week and I want to die, maybe throw us a little bit of cash to just let us know how much you love us and want us to keep making this podcast, because, it's rough out there, kiddos, and we need to eat. And it just is encouraging to know that people value what we do.
And we really appreciate y'all.
We really, really do so much. You don't even know.
We loved when you guys appreciate us back.
Exactly. Let's all appreciate each other. Why is this giving like Chicago vibes. That he loves me and I love him and we love each other. But I do want to mention too that I am for this month doing a fundraiser for the Trevor Project, which is a charity that aims to aid in the mental health of queer youth and is all about suicide prevention, providing a hotline for people to talk to and listen. And I'm doing what's they've called the mutt strut. So I'm taking Pippin for walks and logging my miles. And I have a fundraiser set up on Facebook. I also posted about it on the Patreon, and I'm going to try and post once a week a reminder on Patreon and just see if I can scrounge up some extra dollars. I have reached $149, which is such an uneven number that it kind of drives me a little bonkers. So if somebody wants to donate $1 and even that out, I would be into it.
It would
for
take
that reason.
One itch out of your brain.
Exactly. Every time I look at it, I'm just like, where's that extra $1? You know that thing I told RoShawn earlier that I have started, I adopted a rat that is not in real life, but it's a rat that finds.
What's a real life rat?
It's a real life rat, but like I haven't adopted it into my home. It is a rat that lives elsewhere.
You're sponsoring it.
There you go.
Even though they use the word adopt, you're sponsoring.
Yes. And this little guy finds landmines. And I just think that this thing, it sounded so cool. And I looked into it and it was $9 a month. And I had the option to raise my amount by however much I wanted per month. And I chose to give 10 because 9 was weird. I didn't like it. So I just went ahead and I did 10 because it was just, my brain needed it to be a number that made sense to me. That was not generosity. That was OCD. So, but if it gets us there, it gets us there. So it's all right. Anyway, I'm so sorry, everybody.
And it's really cool, you guys. This little rat thing, he's out here sniffing landmines, sniffing TB, can sniff out tuberculosis. Is that how you say it?
Tuberculosis.
Thank you, Jesus Christ.
It's all right.
But and they go out to all of these countries that have landmines from previous civil wars that are just like maiming and killing people, that are detonating them accidentally because they're just littered across countrysides. And I think I might check into it as well. It's funny, like when you don't have a lot, of money, especially, but you still like, I find anyway, it's been my experience that people will still find ways to give what they can, where they can, whether it's sponsoring like us on Patreon and people like take, a couple cups of coffee and send it to us, or you sponsoring this rat. There's just something about feeling like you are contributing to something outside of yourself that is really helps keep the like lights on, you know what I mean? When things start to feel really, really dark, and things are like, let me just keep it a buck with y'all real quick. I don't know if y'all have been looking around, but shit is dark right now,
bad.
I don't know. I just think it's really cool. I think I'm going to sponsor me a little rat buddy too. As I think that program is really, I think it's a really, really, really cool program. And it's not something that gets a lot of attention, and I just think they're doing good work. So I'm going to check it out for myself.
Yeah. The company, what do you call it? Charity. Thank you. I just thanked myself.
You just thanked yourself.
APOPO saves lives. And, they have the dude who like socializes the little rats by taking them around it's just the most precious thing. I love it so much.
These little guys have names and personalities. It'll tell you like what their favorite treats are and what their personality is like. It is adorable. It really
I feel like I have really undersold Trevor Project that I'm fundraising for, and I have oversold a Popo, this rat sponsorship. But everybody, it's not your fault. It's just, I really want to emphasize to everybody that we're in a position currently that is so bleak that I have just been feeling the need to do something that felt like helpful in a grander sense, because I feel so helpless so much of the time, you know? And, the Trevor Project especially is one that is just like close to my heart. I have a lot of trans friends. I just have so many queer friends. Like, I am the weirdo straight in my circle. And every time that I'm around people who don't have queer friends, I'm always just like, what is wrong with you? And then I realize, like, oh, they're just a straight who hangs with straights. That's what's going on. And so I just want to give an extra push to Trevor Project, because they do a lot. And I think it's kind of neat the way they have this whole thing set up with the fundraising, because they've made it so easy to do the fundraiser as like somebody participating in the Mutt Strut in a way that's like, clearly they have engaged like the Facebook software and platform in such a way that you can sign up to do the Mutt Strut without ever talking to a person. It's all done through like their messenger on Facebook, and like it's an automated thing. And so if you can't donate, but you would like to do something, go to the Trevor Project fundraisers on Facebook, and you will be able to find really simple, easy ways to sign up and actually do one and raise money, you know, because that was a situation I was in where I was like, I want to donate, but I felt like I would do more good fundraising on their behalf than I would donating just my own $10. I was like, let me do something more than that. And so if you also are wanting a little bit of a project that makes you feel good, go out there and walk your doggy and take some pictures and post it to social media and tell people to give you money. It's great. So anyway, all right. I think that's everything. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap it?
Me? No. Nope. I'm going to go look at some rats.
Yay! Mine's name is Baraka, and Baraka is still on their website. So I'm assuming that they like let multiple people sponsor the same rat, because I assume these rats take more than, you know, $9 a month to care for.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody out there, let me know if you got Baraka also. And, if we're rat buddies. See if we're rat friends. Who knows?
That sounds like some new fucking social media thing. And friend me on Ratster.
Ratster. Oh my God. There's this comedian, Wang Sheng, I think, on Netflix. And he's talking about how he sees things in the news about how we've cured cancer, but only in rats. And he's like, that's not human news. That's rat news. That does not belong in a human newspaper. I'm very happy for them, but we need separate news for the rat news. And when I told Owen that I was adopting a rat, he just looked at me and said, well, that's rat news. And I was like, it is. Oh, you're correct. Anyway, that's my married life.
I was going to start saying when people tell me shit that I'm not. That's rat news.
They will won't know you're referencing anything. They're just thinking that you're being a real bitch for no reason.
Nope.
I like it.
No, next time something doesn't involve me, girl, that's rat news. I don't know what you're
rat
telling
news.
me for.
Oh, that's funny.
I am very excited for my future now. I haven't been for a long time, but now I am.
People are going to think you're calling them like hood rats or something. Just be like, excuse me?
I'm going to fuck around and get my ass beat.
Right? Yeah, just be careful out there with them rat news streets. You might want to preface people by letting them know you're very comfortable with rat news and welcome it in your life. That you actually have purposely engaged in some rat news recently, and you have lots of rat friends. Your best friend's a rat.
All right, it's time for us to go.
We're punchy. We are punchy. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We love you very much.
We do.
And we will be seeing you next week with part 1 of Mockingjay. Dun, dun, dun. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Are you coming to the tree where dead man called out for his love to flee? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.